There are some people who treated their days like loose coins carelessly scattered, but time is not loose change. It is the only currency of existence, and once spent, it never returns. Think carefully about this. If someone stole your wallet, you would chase them. If someone stole your car, you would call the police. If someone stole your house, you would fight to get it back. But when someone steals an hour of your life, you often smile politely. You say yes to the unnecessary meeting, yes to the pointless conversation, yes to obligations that bring you neither meaning nor peace. You give your time away as if it costs nothing, but it costs everything. This is the paradox Seneca tried to warn us about. Human beings guard their money with vigilance, yet they give away their time freely to strangers, to distractions, to meaningless pursuits, and slowly, quietly, their lives dissolve, not through tragedy, but through negligence. If you are over 50 years old, you may already sense this truth more clearly than most. When you were young, time felt endless. A single year seemed long. A decade felt enormous. You believed life stretched out ahead like an open road with no horizon, but somewhere along the way, something changed. Years began to pass faster. Birthdays arrived sooner than expected. The seasons started to blur together, and one day you looked up and realized that time had not slowed down. You had simply begun to notice how quickly it disappears. This realization often arrives quietly, not as a dramatic revelation, but as a subtle feeling when you look at old photographs, when you remember the faces of people who are no longer here, when you realize how many chapters of your life are already behind you. It is not necessarily a sad realization. In fact, it can be one of the most liberating insights a human being can have. Because once you understand the true value of time, your priorities begin to change. You no longer feel compelled to chase every opportunity. You stop arguing about things that will not matter in a year. You stop trying to win approval from people who are themselves lost in distraction. Instead, you begin to ask a different question, a quieter question, a more honest one. What is truly worthy of the limited time I have left? This question is the doorway to Stoic wisdom. The Stoics were not obsessed with controlling the future. They were obsessed with using the present well. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Rome, reminded himself daily that life could end at any moment, not to frighten himself, but to wake himself up, to strip away illusion, to remember that every morning was a gift that demanded attention. Epictetus, once born a slave, taught that external events are never truly ours. Fortune may come, fortune may go, but the one thing we possess, at least for a brief time, is the ability to choose how we use the hours given to us. And Seneca, perhaps more than anyone, focused on the tragic waste of time. He observed people spending decades preparing to live, preparing to retire, preparing to relax, preparing to enjoy life later, but later, he warned, is a dangerous illusion. Later often becomes never. How many people spend 40 years in careers they dislike, telling themselves they will finally live once the work is done? How many postpone joy until after the next promotion, the next house, the next milestone? And then suddenly, the calendar has turned too many pages. The body grows tired, energy fades, and the life they were preparing to live has quietly slipped away. This is not meant to be depressing. It is meant to be clarifying, because once you see this clearly, you realize something powerful. Life does not disappear all at once. It disappears in fragments, small fragments. 5 minutes wasted here, an hour lost there, an evening spent worrying about something beyond your control, a year chasing goals that were never truly yours. These fragments accumulate and eventually they become your life. But here is the Stoic paradox. The realization that time is limited does not diminish life. It intensifies it. When you understand that your days are numbered, each day becomes more vivid. Ordinary moments gain weight. A quiet morning coffee, a walk in the evening light, a conversation with someone you love. These are no longer trivial events. They are pieces of existence that will never occur again. And once you see that clearly, you begin to guard your time differently. You become more selective, more deliberate, more awake. But before that awakening happens, most people pass through a long period of unconscious living. They wake up, they rush through their routine, they answer messages, they chase deadlines. They are busy, constantly busy, but busyness is not the same as living. In fact, busyness is often the perfect disguise for wasted life. A person can fill every hour of the day with activity and still accomplish nothing meaningful. They move constantly, yet go nowhere. They talk endlessly, yet say nothing of value. They pursue goals that do not truly belong to them. This is one of the deepest illusions of modern life. We believe that because we are occupied, we are productive. Because we are productive, we are successful. Because we are successful, we are fulfilled. But none of these assumptions are guaranteed. Seneca saw wealthy men with enormous power who were deeply miserable. He saw politicians who controlled empires but could not control their own anxieties. He saw people surrounded by luxury who had never learned how to sit quietly with themselves. And he concluded something remarkable. The richest person in the world is not the one who possesses the most. It is the one who wastes the least of their life. This insight is not ancient. It is timeless. Look around today. Never before in history have human beings had so many conveniences. Machines save us time. Technology connects us instantly. Information flows faster than ever before. And yet, people feel more rushed, more distracted, and more overwhelmed than any generation before them. Why? Because saving time is meaningless if we do not know how to use it. We have eliminated many physical hardships, but we have replaced them with mental noise, constant notifications, endless comparisons, a relentless stream of information demanding attention. The modern world has become extraordinarily efficient at stealing time, not through force, but through seduction. It offers entertainment that never ends, opinions that never stop, conflicts that never resolve. And if you are not careful, you can spend entire days drifting through this digital current, emerging at night with the vague feeling that you were busy, but unable to remember what truly mattered. This is where Stoicism becomes not merely philosophy, but survival. Because Stoicism teaches something radical. Your life does not belong to the world. Your life belongs to you. Not your reputation, not your followers, not the expectations of strangers. Your life is the sum of your attention, and wherever your attention goes, your life follows. So the question is not how long you will live. No human being can answer that. The real question is something far more important. Where are you spending the life you already have? And perhaps even more importantly, who or what is taking it from you? Because here is the difficult truth most people avoid. Your life is rarely stolen by enemies. It is usually surrendered willingly, one small compromise at a time, and this is where the deeper danger begins, because most lives are not taken from us suddenly. They are surrendered slowly, quietly, almost politely. You do not wake up one morning and decide to waste 10 years of your life. No one would consciously choose that. Instead, it happens in fragments. A day where you say yes when you should have said no. An afternoon spent worrying about things you cannot control. An evening lost to distraction because you were too tired to think clearly. And these small moments, harmless in isolation, begin to accumulate, until eventually you realize that entire seasons of your life have passed. This is what Seneca saw when he studied human behavior. He noticed that most people did not actively destroy their lives. They simply allowed their lives to be taken from them, not through violence but through habit, through distraction, through the quiet pressure of other people's expectations. Imagine a man who spends his entire life working relentlessly. He wakes early. He sacrifices weekends. He postpones joy. He tells himself that everything he does is necessary. Necessary for security, necessary for success, necessary for the future. But years later, when that future finally arrives, something strange happens. The man looks around and realizes the future he sacrificed his life for has already passed. The children are grown. The opportunities for adventure are gone. The energy he once had is no longer there. He spent decades preparing to live, but he never actually lived. This is not a rare story. It is one of the most common human tragedies, and it is not limited to work. Some people surrender their lives to worry. They spend years imagining disasters that never occur. Others surrender their lives to resentment. They replay old arguments in their minds long after those moments have faded into history. Others surrender their lives to comparison. They measure themselves against strangers. They chase standards that were never their own, and in doing so, they lose sight of the one life they were actually given. But the Stoics believed that the greatest form of freedom was not wealth. It was self-command, the ability to govern your own attention, because once you control where your attention goes, you control where your life goes. But this kind of discipline is rare, especially in a world designed to fracture your focus. Think about the modern environment for a moment. Every device in your pocket is competing for your attention. Every platform wants your eyes, your thoughts, your time. Entire industries are built around capturing your awareness and keeping it as long as possible, and they are extraordinarily good at it. You open your phone to check a single message. 10 minutes later, you are reading news about people you will never meet. 20 minutes later, you are comparing your life to carefully edited images of strangers. 30 minutes later, you feel strangely drained, and the worst part is that nothing truly meaningful happened. The time simply vanished. This is not an accident. It is a system designed to convert your attention into profit. But the Stoics would ask a very simple question. At what cost? Because every minute spent drifting through distraction, is a minute removed from the limited supply of life you possess. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that the things which dominate people's thoughts are often trivial. He urged himself to focus instead on the essential, on the present moment, on the task directly in front of him. Imagine if more people practiced this. Imagine if instead of scattering our attention across hundreds of small anxieties, we placed it fully on what actually mattered. A conversation, a piece of work, a moment of reflection. Life would immediately feel different, slower, clearer, more intentional. But reaching that clarity requires a difficult realization. A realization that many people resist for years. Your life is not primarily shaped by major events. It is shaped by small daily choices. How you spend the first hour of your morning. How you respond to irritation. How long you allow negative thoughts to linger. How often you allow distractions to interrupt your focus. These small decisions appear insignificant, but together they create the architecture of your life. If you repeat them for decades, they determine everything: your peace, your fulfillment, your legacy, and most importantly, your sense of whether your life was truly lived. There is a moment many people experience later in life, a quiet moment of reflection. Sometimes it happens during retirement, sometimes after the loss of someone close, sometimes in the stillness of a late evening when the world grows quiet. And during that moment, a person asks themselves a difficult question. Where did it all go? Where did the years disappear? Why did time move so quickly? It feels almost mysterious, but in truth, there is no mystery. Time moved exactly as it always does, steadily, impartially, without pause. The difference is that while it was moving, we were not paying attention. The Stoics believed awareness was the antidote to this tragedy. Not anxiety, not regret, but awareness. To wake up in the morning and remember that this day will never return. To understand that the ordinary hours we overlook are the substance of existence itself. To realize that every interaction with another human being is unique. Every sunset unrepeatable. Every quiet moment an opportunity to be fully present. This awareness does not make life heavier. It makes life more vivid, more meaningful, more real, and perhaps the greatest gift of growing older is that it naturally brings this awareness. When you are young, the mind tends to race forward, always toward the next milestone, the next achievement, the next stage of life. But as the decades pass, something shifts. The mind begins to look inward rather than outward. You start noticing things you once overlooked. The rhythm of quiet mornings, the calm satisfaction of meaningful work, the value of simple companionship. You realize that the moments which once seemed insignificant were actually the foundation of a good life. Not the trophies, not the applause, not the approval of strangers, just the quiet experience of living well. This is why many people over 50 possess a wisdom younger people struggle to understand. They have seen enough years pass to recognize the illusion of urgency. They have watched trends come and go. They have seen what truly lasts and what quickly fades, and they know often without needing to say it that peace is not found in chasing more. It is found in needing less. This idea sits at the heart of Stoicism. Not withdrawal from life, but liberation from unnecessary noise, to remove what is trivial, to keep what is essential, to focus not on endless ambition but on meaningful presence. But here is another Stoic paradox. Understanding the value of time does not mean becoming obsessed with productivity. Many people misunderstand this. They imagine that protecting time means filling every hour with intense activity. But the Stoics believed something very different. They believed the highest use of time was living in accordance with reason and virtue. Sometimes that means work. Sometimes it means reflection. Sometimes it simply means sitting quietly and observing the world without hurry. Seneca himself often wrote about the importance of withdrawing temporarily from public life, not to escape responsibility but to restore clarity, because a mind constantly overwhelmed by external noise cannot think clearly about what truly matters. And if a person cannot think clearly, they cannot live wisely. This is why solitude has always been valued by philosophers. Not loneliness, but solitude. The deliberate choice to step back from chaos long enough to examine one's life, to ask the difficult questions. Am I living according to my own values, or according to expectations placed upon me? Am I spending my time in ways that reflect what I claim to care about? Or am I simply following patterns I never questioned? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are also liberating, because once you ask them honestly, you begin to reclaim control over your life. Not by changing everything overnight, but by making small adjustments. A conversation you no longer feel obligated to entertain. A distraction you decide not to indulge. A quiet moment you allow yourself to fully experience, without rushing to the next thing. These adjustments may appear small, but they slowly transform the quality of your days. And since your life is made of days, they transform your life itself. But there is another truth that Seneca understood, and it may be the most difficult one of all. Many people only learn the value of time when they begin to feel it running out. Many people only begin to understand the true value of time when they feel it slipping through their hands, not as an abstract idea, but as a physical sensation. A quiet awareness that something within life has changed. The mornings are still bright. The sun still rises, but there is a subtle difference in how those mornings feel. When you are young, the future appears vast. When you are older, the future becomes more precious, more defined, more real. You begin to notice that there are fewer first times ahead, and more memories behind you, and with that realization comes a strange clarity. Things that once felt urgent no longer seem important. Arguments that once consumed your energy now feel strangely pointless. You look at the dramas that once filled your days, and you realize something astonishing. Most of them never mattered at all. This is the wisdom Seneca tried to give people before it was too late. He watched wealthy men who spent their entire lives chasing power, men who believed that prestige would secure their happiness. Yet when those men finally reached the heights they sought, they discovered something unsettling. The prize did not bring peace, because peace was never located in status. Peace was located in the way they used their time, and time had already been spent. This realization is one of the most painful moments a human being can experience. Not because life is over, but because they suddenly see how much of it was spent unconsciously. Think about how often people say something like this: "I wish I had known this earlier." Those words carry enormous weight. They reveal a deep human truth. Wisdom almost always arrives after experience, but experience takes time, and time, as we know, cannot be reclaimed. That is why philosophy exists, not as a luxury for scholars, but as a tool for living. The Stoics believed philosophy was medicine for the soul. Just as a physician treats the body before illness spreads, philosophy attempts to treat the mind before confusion consumes it. Seneca did not write his reflections to impress readers. He wrote them as warnings. Warnings about the dangers of drifting through life without awareness. Warnings about the seductive nature of distraction. Warnings about the illusion that tomorrow will always provide another chance. Because tomorrow is never guaranteed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly of this fact, not in a fearful way, but in a grounding way. He understood that remembering death does not make life darker, it makes it sharper. This idea, what the Stoics called memento mori, the remembrance of death, was never intended to create despair. It was intended to awaken appreciation. When you remember that life is finite, something remarkable happens. You stop postponing the things that matter. You stop assuming that you will always have another opportunity. You begin to treat time as something sacred, and suddenly, ordinary moments feel different. A quiet conversation with a friend becomes meaningful. A walk beneath the open sky becomes valuable. Even silence becomes rich because you know these moments are temporary, and temporary things carry a strange beauty. Imagine holding a glass filled with clear water. If you believed that glass would last forever, you might barely notice it. But if you knew the glass would vanish tomorrow, you would pay closer attention. You would hold it carefully. You would appreciate its presence. Life works the same way. Its impermanence gives it meaning. And yet, despite this truth, most people behave as if their time were unlimited. They delay what matters. They postpone joy. They assume that life will patiently wait while they sort out their priorities, but life does not wait. It moves forward quietly, and often it moves faster than we expect. There is a moment many people experience somewhere in their later years. It is not dramatic. It is not announced. It simply arrives. A quiet realization. They look back over the decades and suddenly see patterns they never noticed before. How many hours were lost to unnecessary worry? How many years were spent chasing goals that did not bring lasting satisfaction? How much energy was invested in impressing people whose opinions ultimately meant very little? This realization can feel painful at first, but if approached with Stoic wisdom, it can also be liberating because the past cannot be changed. But the present remains, and as long as the present remains, life remains. This is one of the most comforting ideas within Stoicism. The past belongs to memory, the future belongs to uncertainty, but the present belongs to you, right now. In this moment, and within this moment, lies the ability to live differently. Not perfectly, but consciously. To speak more honestly, to listen more deeply, to spend time with people who truly matter, to remove unnecessary noise from your life, and perhaps most importantly, to forgive yourself for the years that passed without awareness. The Stoics never believed in punishing oneself for the past. Regret, when held too tightly, becomes another way of wasting time. Instead, they believed in learning from the past, using it as instruction rather than condemnation. Seneca himself admitted that he struggled with the same weaknesses he wrote about. He was not a perfect sage. He was a human being trying to live wisely in a chaotic world, and that is exactly what Stoicism invites each of us to do. Not to become flawless, but to become awake. Awake to the passing of time, awake to the importance of attention, awake to the quiet miracle of being alive at all. When you reach this awareness, something interesting begins to happen. You stop measuring your life by external milestones. You begin measuring it by internal alignment. Did I live according to my values today? Did I treat others with fairness? Did I spend my time on things that truly matter? These questions create a different definition of success, one that does not depend on applause or comparison, one that cannot be taken away by circumstance. Because if you lived your day with clarity, integrity, and presence, then the day was not wasted, no matter what the world thinks. This perspective is especially powerful in later life, because by this stage, many illusions have already fallen away. You have seen enough of the world to recognize that status fades, trends vanish, fortunes rise and collapse, but character, how you conduct yourself through all of it, remains. And perhaps that is the deepest Stoic lesson about time. Time will eventually take everything external, but it cannot take the way you chose to live while you had it. Your dignity, your patience, your compassion, your courage. These qualities shape the memory of your life long after the years themselves have passed. In that sense, a well-lived life never truly disappears. Its influence continues through the people it touched, through the kindness it offered, through the wisdom it shared. And so the Stoic does not measure life merely by its length, but by its depth. A single decade lived consciously may contain more meaning than 50 years spent drifting through distraction. This realization returns us to Seneca's warning. Your life is not disappearing because time is cruel. Time is simply doing what it has always done, moving forward. The question is whether you are moving with it or sleeping through it, because there is one final insight the Stoics wanted every human being to understand. The most tragic waste of life is not death. It is living without ever truly waking up. If there is one final lesson the Stoics wanted to leave behind, it is this: your life becomes what you pay attention to, not what you say you value, not what you hope for, not what you promise yourself you will focus on someday. Your life becomes the sum of your attention, and attention, in the modern world, is under constant attack. Every day there are voices competing for it. News headlines designed to provoke outrage, advertisements designed to provoke desire, images designed to provoke comparison. Each one whispers the same message. Look here, think about this, react to that, and if you are not careful, your attention becomes fragmented, pulled in 100 different directions, like a ship drifting across the ocean without a rudder. The Stoics understood something simple yet profound. A drifting mind leads to a drifting life, but a focused mind creates a steady life. This does not mean controlling everything. No human being has that power. The Stoics never promised control over the external world. They promised something far more realistic: control over your response, control over your attention, control over how you spend the small fragments of time that make up your days. And once you begin protecting these fragments, something remarkable happens. Your life becomes quieter, not empty, but quieter. The unnecessary urgency fades. The constant need to react to everything disappears. You begin to notice that many things that once demanded your energy were never worthy of it. This is what the Stoics meant when they spoke about freedom. Freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. Freedom is the ability to not be controlled by things that do not matter. A free person is not someone with unlimited options. A free person is someone who knows which options to ignore. And perhaps the greatest freedom of all is the freedom to live deliberately. To wake each morning and remember that this day will never return. Not in the dramatic way people often imagine, but in a calm, grounded awareness. This is a new day, a portion of life that did not exist yesterday and will not exist tomorrow. How will I use it? This simple question transforms the rhythm of living. You begin to move through the day differently, less rushed, less distracted, more aware of the present moment. When you speak with someone, you truly listen. When you work on something meaningful, you give it your full attention. When you rest, you allow yourself to rest without guilt. Life becomes less fragmented, more whole, more coherent, and strangely, when you live this way, time itself begins to feel different. Not slower exactly, but fuller. A single hour lived with awareness can feel richer than an entire day spent in distraction. This is why the Stoics believe that a wise person never complains about the length of life, because life, when lived well, is never too short, even if the years themselves are limited. Think about the people you have known who seem to possess a quiet wisdom. People who carried themselves with calm dignity. People who were not easily disturbed by small inconveniences. People whose presence alone brought a sense of steadiness. Often these individuals did not have extraordinary wealth, or fame, or influence. Yet they seemed rich in a deeper sense. Rich in clarity, rich in perspective, rich in peace. That peace came from understanding something fundamental about time. They knew it was precious. They knew it was limited. And they treated it accordingly. They did not waste their energy fighting trivial battles. They did not spend their days chasing approval. They did not allow the noise of the world to dictate the direction of their lives. Instead, they chose carefully where to invest their attention, where to invest their effort, where to invest their limited years. This is the Stoic way of protecting time, not through rigid schedules, not through obsessive productivity, but through clarity. Clarity about what matters, clarity about what does not, clarity about the difference between the two. And once you gain that clarity, a deep sense of calm begins to emerge because you realize something comforting. You do not need to do everything. You do not need to solve every problem. You do not need to impress everyone. Your only real responsibility is to live the time you have been given with integrity and awareness. Nothing more, nothing less. Seneca believed that the tragedy of life was not that it ends. The tragedy was that many people never truly begin. They spend their days moving from one distraction to another, one obligation to the next, until eventually the years have passed and the opportunity to live consciously has faded. But as long as you are breathing, that opportunity still exists. It exists in this moment, right now. You cannot reclaim yesterday, but you can reclaim your attention today. You cannot control how many years remain, but you can control how you spend the hours in front of you. And sometimes, that small shift in awareness is enough to transform the rest of a person's life. A person who once rushed begins to slow down. A person who once chased approval begins to seek peace. A person who once felt lost begins to recognize the quiet value of ordinary moments. And gradually, life becomes less about achievement and more about presence. This is not resignation. It is not withdrawal. It is clarity. The clarity that comes from understanding that existence itself is already extraordinary. To wake up, to breathe, to witness another sunrise. These are not trivial events. They are rare privileges in a vast universe, and when you begin to see them that way, gratitude replaces urgency, patience replaces frustration, calm replaces anxiety. This is the quiet strength Stoicism offers. Not the strength of domination, but the strength of acceptance. Acceptance of the things that cannot be changed, and careful stewardship of the things that can. Your attention, your character, your time. So perhaps tonight, or tomorrow morning, you might pause for a moment, not to rush into the next task, but simply to reflect, to sit quietly and consider a question that Seneca asked nearly 2,000 years ago. If your life were examined honestly, how much of it has truly been yours? How much time was spent living according to your values? How much time was surrendered to distractions, expectations, or fears that never really mattered? These questions are not meant to produce guilt. They are meant to awaken awareness, because awareness is the beginning of wisdom. And wisdom, once discovered, allows a person to live the rest of their life differently, more intentionally, more peacefully, more awake. Eventually, every life reaches its final chapter. This is not something to fear. It is simply the nature of existence. The Stoics understood that death is not the enemy. The enemy is unconscious living. The enemy is reaching the end of life and realizing you were never truly present for it. But if you live with awareness, if you guard your time with care, if you spend your days aligned with your values, then whenever that final chapter arrives, it will not feel like a tragedy. It will feel like completion. A life that was fully used, fully experienced, fully lived. And when you look back across the years, you will not ask where the time went. You will know. You spent it living. If this reflection resonated with you, take a quiet moment today, not to rush into something new, but simply to breathe, to notice the present moment, and to remember that this day, like every day, is a small, irreplaceable piece of your life. If these ideas about Stoicism, wisdom, and inner peace speak to you, you may wish to continue exploring them. There is a deep well of insight from thinkers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus wisdom that has guided people for thousands of years through uncertainty, loss, success, and change. You are welcome to join this journey by subscribing to the channel, where we continue reflecting on the art of living well in a noisy world. Until we meet again, I wish you something simple but powerful: good health, good fortune, peace of mind, and the quiet happiness that comes from living each day with awareness. Take care of your time, because your time is your life. See you next video.